podcast. We're looking forward to discussing and giving you a glimpse into next generation contact center QA reporting, analytics, and workforce optimization. We know your time is valuable and want to make the most of your time today. We really appreciate it. If you have any questions, there's a question dialog box in the bottom right corner of the GoToWebinar toolkit that you have there, and just type any questions in. We'll make it as interactive as possible and answer your questions as we go. And if we don't get to them within the allotted hour, we will answer them afterwards for you. So I'm joined by my colleague, Greg Cummings, who has a tremendous wealth of experience within contact center support and workforce optimization. He's passionate about quality, as you'll see we both are, analytics, business intelligence, and he's been with VPI for a long time. I've also been with VPI for 12 years, and we've growing very rapidly, one of the fastest growing companies in the space. And so for those of you who may not be as familiar with VPI, we were founded 20 years ago. We're the first open architecture call recording platform, and since then we've added a variety of intelligent analytics solutions, automated quality monitoring, speech and data analytics, workforce management, and so forth. We have more than 1,000 customers globally, and we were recently ranked in the Ventana Research Value Index, which is a very comprehensive, in-depth research report they do every 2 years, as highest in customer assurance. So this is coming directly from our customers, as you can see here, compared to some of the other providers in the space. And so today what we'd like to do is kind of walk you through some of the key enhancements that have happened within workforce optimization technology within the last 2 to 3 years. They're really game-changing capabilities, and there's 4 key capabilities that I'll take you through, and then Greg, I'll transfer the ball over to Greg, who will give you a live demonstration of each of these capabilities of the solution itself. But the 4 main game changers that we see that are really impacting customer experience, profitability within organizations are consolidated and real-time reporting, the notion of desktop data and speech analytics, which you may be familiar with one or both, but we'll kind of go through and show you what are the key drivers within analytics that are really showing strong ROI. Then we have this notion of, all right, we do so many things manually today within contact centers. What can we automate? What are some of the tools that have been developed to help you automate your workflow? And then obviously with everyone using smartphones, and I know Greg and I that we've gotten rid of our landlines. We only use smartphones, and we use it for everything. And you might as well. Mobile access, right? Getting supervisors away from the desk back onto the floor, or if you're remote, if you're managing remotely, to be able to do so from your mobile applications or mobile phones, smartphones, tablets, and so forth. Those are really changing the game within workforce optimization. So I'll take you through each one of these and kind of give you a glimpse into some of the capabilities you'll be benefiting from. So the reality today on the reporting side is that we have all these siloed systems, right? Typically within our contact centers, we have our communications platforms, and we're really trying to get, that even integrated, right? The HTTP, IVR, email chat, kind of that omni-channel experience, if you will. That's a big initiative in and of itself. Then we have workforce optimization technologies, which is kind of some of the tools that we offer. They're all modular. So recording, quality assurance, WFM, they tend to be typically siloed as well. So you have different reports, some better than others for each of these applications. And then you have your servicing applications, whether they be homegrown, CRM systems. Maybe you're using, something like Salesforce or an SAP or an Oracle, or that has its own reporting platform as well, typically, or maybe a help desk system like Remedy or ServiceNow or one of those platforms. Again, some reporting is better than others, but they're typically siloed, right? So the beauty of, the challenge here is that it's expensive, it's error prone, it's often too late. By the time you get the information, maybe you get your report end of day, maybe sometimes not till the end of the week. In some cases, for some reports, it might not even be till the end of the month. That's really not actionable, right? So there's this notion of consolidating all that information. That's what we do really well. We tap into a variety of different sources, all kinds of applications, and we have data connectors to virtually any application you can think of. And what we do is we pull all the information into a single view. So we're breaking down those silos. And that has been a major game changer for many of our customers. The ability to see everything that you want to see from an operational customer experience standpoint within one dashboard. And Greg will show you that when he shows you the application, how you can pull multiple metrics from different systems in. So here you can see, we have information from the quality assurance system. And it could be our quality assurance system, or it could be another application, right? That you may already be using. This layers on top of any other tools that you may be using. Surveying, is a popular one for things like Net Promoter Score, CSAT. We tend to see that metric brought in quite a bit. And then the obvious ones, usually where people start in our world, is the ACD, right, or the dialer. That alone, just pulling in that information, be able to see it the way you want to see it, because not all ACDs are created equal or have the reports the way you want to see them. Being able to pull that information, things like service level, calls and queues, the way you want to see it, and then speech analytics, workforce management information as well. And this is really kind of, so BI, you may, be using a BI tool, or, there's other kind of more generic BI tools out there that you can try to use in your contact center, and many people are trying to build out dashboards. One thing that our BI tool offers as well is it takes it all the way down to the supervisor and agent level. You don't necessarily want your agents logging into a dashboard to see their metrics, right? It doesn't have the same value or significance. So what we've created, and this is feedback from our customers, is they wanted real-time tickers. Imagine like a CNN stock ticker that's always on above your applications, and Greg will show you where that lives, or where you can put it virtually anywhere on your desktop. It can be as thin or as thick as you'd like, and essentially what it does is pull in the same metrics, but whatever you want your agents to see versus either their group or versus their target goal. So you can, color code things, you can create thresholds and so forth, and show, conversion percentage. Adherence is a very popular one, because showing adherence in real time is typically a 5% gain in adherence, right? So if you have 100 agents in your contact center, you're improving adherence by 5%. It's like hiring 5 agents without spending any money, essentially, right? So what you have here, without hiring them. So as you can see here, you can imagine these tickers are very popular. So even organizations that already have VPI dashboarding initiatives, we have many organizations that are just using the tickers. That's how they partner with us, because they want to show maybe their at-home agents or their brick-and-mortar agents. They want them to improve efficiencies and allow them to self-manage. And so I put some stats, some ROI metrics up here, so you can get an idea of what are the KPIs that typically within a week or two that you'll see in terms of improvements just from the tickers essentially alone, by allowing agents and supervisors to self-manage. You typically see a handle time improvement of at least 10%. That's just because it's front and center. It's always visible. and they're able to see, how they're doing. Even if you don't have that as one of your key goals, I know a lot of organizations are not necessarily focusing on handle time, but putting it there will allow them to kind of self-manage and see, hey, if they're way above their group or their goal, they'll automatically start kind of looking at that, right? Adherence, as I mentioned, is a big one. Just making sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing at the right times. You can see the breaks. You can see, your lunch breaks and so forth, and make sure you are in adherence with your schedule. And then speed of answer and abandon rate is great, because what happens is agents will help each other out. They see there's a lot of calls in queue. They may not go on the break right away. They'll help out. They'll get the queue down, and it becomes kind of this healthy team competition and healthy teamwork. And then in a sales or collections environment, it's really a no-brainer. The ticker, just because of that competitive nature of all of us, right, of agents in particular, they want to improve their sales. If they can see conversion rates, promise to pays in real time, there's a huge advantage there. So then moving on to analytics. So just kind of giving an overview of kind of the main or the most impactful types of analytics here. So how do we use analytics to find higher value calls and interactions? So I like to give this example of, we have this, you come home from, maybe you had a summer vacation and you came home, and you're probably familiar with this. You either go pick it up from the post office, or if you forgot to notify them, you have a mailbox that looks like this, and you have all these letters. And imagine that there was nothing on those letters, right? They were all blank on that. You have to essentially open every letter to see what was inside it. So you have, probably when you open them up, 90% of those would be junk mail. And we like to use kind of these buckets, because that's what analytics does. It categorizes things into buckets. You have your personal mail, which you don't want to read. Bills you don't necessarily want to read, but you kind of have to. Financial statements, maybe. And then catalogs, maybe, right? So you have kind of these buckets, if you will, and you kind of decide what needs your attention first. So going through the different types of analytics, and I mentioned desktop data and speech analytics, the two very unique types of analytics, but they work really well together. I'll show you how here. So the most basic form of analytics is what you get with your phone system. When you're recording your calls, you're going to get the time, typically whether it's inbound or outbound. You're going to get the length of the call, the agent who took the call, and if you're lucky, you're going to get holds and transfers, right? That this was on hold for 93 seconds and the call was transferred. So think about it. Can you search for all calls that were transferred or all calls that were put on hold for 60 seconds? Some phone systems do tag the information to the recording system. And then desktop data is really the hidden gem in all of it. A lot of people go straight to speech analytics. Speech analytics is a sexy solution, also powerful, but there's the desktop data. What that's doing is just tagging information from your CRM system, from your application. So anything that shows up on your agent's screens. Imagine you're standing behind your agent. You can't necessarily hear what they're saying, but you can see their screen. Anything you see come up, you can tag to the call recording. So it's a VIP customer with this account ID. It's new product A. It's a billing inquiry. We can tell that this person called in, for a billing inquiry twice today, and there's an unsuccessful upsell. They went into an upsell screen, and there was no order value collected. So imagine what you can do with all that data. Now you can search your calls by all of that, and you can use those in rules for quality assurance. So then kind of the icing on the cake, if you want to take it even a step further, is, all right, now we're going to essentially transcribe the calls. And speech analytics isn't 100% perfect. It doesn't have to be. But imagine if you could find things like outrageous price increase, speak with the manager, you don't even offer what company Z does, so forth. So those are kind of the differences. We always recommend, in most cases, starting with the desktop data analytics, because it's a fairly simple integration to your CRM system or whatever systems you may be using, just to tag all that data to the recording. And then you can layer speech on and use both of those in rules. So here's what desktop data analytics looks like. Basically, you just decide what fields you want to capture, and all of that gets tagged down here in the media player to the call recording. And so you can use that in your searches and in your business rules to evaluate calls, schedule calls for evaluation. So back to the buckets, right? So now you can say, all right, we want to evaluate all calls that are more than 3 minutes, or bucket those calls automatically. As these calls are coming in, they just get put into that bucket. Canceled accounts, new orders, and I'm saying calls a lot, but this could be other types of interactions, email, chat, so forth. If it's related to a new order or canceled account, that goes back to the desktop data analytics. That data is in your CRM system. You can use that to bucket calls. And then some examples, the middle one here, dissatisfied customers. You people, ridiculous, right? When the word ridiculous is used in a service interaction, either by the agent or the customer, this study by KPMG found that the customer is 80% more likely to change their insurer within 3 months. When you want to categorize calls where people are saying you people are ridiculous or misleading, and have those at your fingertips to do coaching and maybe change your processes. So a lot of value by automatically categorizing calls, either by the most basic phone data here in the top left, desktop data, canceled account, new orders, high value orders, VIP customers, new products we're launching. All that can be done by desktop data. And then, adding phrases and things customers or agents would be saying are very valuable as well. So moving on to the third game changer is quality monitoring. And Greg and I always crack up at this. This is, traditionally when we go in and help customers out with their quality programs, we evaluate them, assess them, kind of see if we're measuring the right thing, and if they're as effective as they can be. We see a lot of this, right, where we're kind of putting our heads into the haystack and looking for a needle in the haystack, right? And traditionally what that looks like is you have this bell curve, right, where we're randomly monitoring, and we're not always that random, right? We hunt and pack a lot for calls to review, so it's not even totally random, right? We're kind of having people manually go in and choose calls. You get a lot of low-value calls, and you're probably familiar with this, right? If you look for calls to review, you get a lot of calls that really aren't worth listening to or coachable. What we're really looking for is kind of these high-value calls, either the worst practice ones or the best practice ones that we can share with other agents and get them up to speed with what the best agents are doing. Some examples of high-value calls on the worst practice side, on the left side here, repeat calls. And it may not be something the agent had control over. A lot of times repeat calls, I think it's over 60% of repeat calls aren't something the agent did, but it could be a process, something with shipping, something that happened on the back end that needs to be addressed. Low CSAT, transfers, long hold times, disconnects, silence or dead air. These are all data points that we could look for. High customer satisfaction on the other side, sales made, high efficiency. Those are kind of the ones we want to use and highlight, use in our training, showcase, reward, and so forth. So this right here, it's the simplest little thing, but man, does it improve productivity and efficiency. What this is just a QA task list. And all it's doing is giving your evaluators a to-do list of the calls they need to listen to. So instead of them having to go to the recording system to actually look for calls to evaluate, you just create a rule of whatever that rule may be. It may be calls over 3 minutes. It may be repeat calls this month. whatever that rule is, and automatically find those calls or go to the bucket of calls and schedule a percentage of those or a number of those that you want per agent, to their supervisor, to the QA team. So this easily doubles productivity just by not having to go look for calls within the recording system. It also makes it more objective in that, they can't say you only pick my bad calls, right? Because it's picking the calls for you and the computer's doing it, right? So you can talk to the computer, right? if you have a problem. That's kind of the notion of this. I just want to give you an example of Hamilton County 911 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. They put in some business rules. They wanted to evaluate 7% of medical calls, 7% of police calls, 3% of fire, and then a smaller percentage of non-emergency calls. And they were doing about 90 QA checks a month. They're struggling to even do that. And then just a month later, that over 1,600 QA evaluations per month. So 18 times productivity just by not having to go kind of find those, to try to find a cardiac arrest call and match it up and evaluate it. It takes a lot of time. Just by automatically scheduling those, I see a huge boost in productivity. And then this is kind of the next generation. We get a lot of questions about this, and we're working with customers right now to kind of talk through this. And what this does is the ability to monitor 100% of your calls. So we call it for conformance. We don't like to use the word compliance when talking about speech analytics. You may hear the word compliance from other vendors. Speech analytics is not 100% accurate, but what it allows you to do is essentially create buckets or categories for the questions on your QA forms, right? Or the majority of the questions on your QA forms. Some of the things like tone or accuracy are difficult to create speech category buckets for. So we tend to, leave those on the QA forms, and those can, be evaluated just the way you would evaluate live now. But for things like a greeting, call recording disclaimer, did they verify a social security number? Did they verify contract terms or provide the proper closing? Even empathy, that's something that can be automated. You're looking for, if a customer is upset, you're looking for the agent to say something empathetic or provide an empathetic statement. Those statements can be put into a bucket and essentially have all your calls run through. So what this is an example of a scorecard in our system that essentially shows you for Stacey Adams for May, we see that if you look at the two red ones, call recording disclaimer and verify contract terms, we see that what we're doing is giving you an estimate that the speech analytics system thinks that 55% of those calls have the proper call recording disclaimer, and only 42 of the calls have contract terms. Is that going to be perfect? If you go listen to those calls that didn't have the call recording disclaimer, you might find some that did have the call recording disclaimer. You're going to find a heck of a lot that don't, and that's all you need typically. You need 2 to 3 examples, sometimes only one, of something the agent was supposed to do and didn't do. And so supervisors can quickly see this, drill down to the call, and actually play those calls back and with the agent for coaching very quickly without waiting till the end of the week or end of the month. And what this is, it's analyzing all your calls, which is beautiful, right? It's not just 5 or 10 or 15 per month. And then the bottom half, these types of questions like accuracy, I mentioned tone, active listening, those things you may want to keep on your live QA form, but your form becomes much shorter, so you can evaluate a higher number of calls live. And then automating, so automating the scheduling, even kind of the listening of calls, right, with speech analytics. And then we got to take it full 360, right? If you're not taking action on your quality assurance, then you're missing a huge opportunity to improve quality and performance. So what we've done is in the QA form, you can actually add an action to each question if you'd like. And the action could be send the agent an email, or we prefer, many of our customers do, is sending a message to the ticker, which is always up. So one example here is if at the bottom, this is one of our customers, Upsource, they don't offer e-solutions, and the QA person is filling it out, and they put a no. As soon as they finish that evaluation or complete it, then it sends a message to the agent saying, please remember to offer e-solutions. You've just scored a 0 for not offering e-solutions on your QA evaluation. And they have to acknowledge it and click OK. So any message you send to the ticker, they have to acknowledge, and you get a report of who acknowledged what. You can never say, hey, you never told me. And what's nice about this is no matter what shift you're on, no matter what supervisor you have, it's going to deliver that message consistently and provides consistent feedback. It's not replacing live one-on-one coaching, but it's a great supplement, especially if you have a lot of changes in policies, things like that, and you want to just update maybe agents in the morning or throughout the day. It's a great tool, that messaging tool, and then the automated delivery based on QA scores as well. And then the fourth one is the mobile access. So really mobilizing your workforce. So within our workforce management application in particular, that it's very popular. That and also the dashboards. Greg will show you, the mobile dashboards. But what this does ensures your agents are always up to date on their current shift schedule. So they can review their shift start and end times, their breaks and lunches, even their schedule adherence information. So another thing in the middle one here, you can see that they can get notification on changes to their schedule. They can even initiate time off requests and get notified on overtime opportunities. And you'll see the green and the red, buttons there. They can even accept or decline those offers just with the push of a button. So real powerful, ways to not only check your schedule and adherence, but also get notifications and respond, from your mobile phones. If you have a remote agent workforce, what a great way to just, my wife's a remote agent, and she often gets offered, would you like to work some extra hours? And, to get notified and get told go in for an hour or 30 minutes or whatever they need is real valuable and allows you to flex your workforce. So at this point, I'd like to transfer over to my colleague, Greg Cummings, who will show you each of those 4 key game-changing capabilities within the actual solution, within the actual software. Let me change presenter.
Okay, thank you so much, Patrick. And thank you, everyone, for joining us again today. We appreciate your time, and we know it's valuable. So like Patrick mentioned, I'm going to take us through the actual solution itself and really touch on those 4 kind of key points. Obviously, the real-time data visibility, reporting, and analytics, which is so critical in today's environment. Right? It's really important that we understand data is the new oil, and the more we can analyze and understand it, the more action we can take in the contact center to improve. Mobile access is huge. And then, obviously, the ability to automate and make our QA workflow better, right, which is critical, and you're going to see some ways that we really help to optimize and improve that. And then data and speech analytics. Please send your questions through as we go through this. We're going to love to answer those at the end. And let's take a look. First thing, what you're seeing on my desktop right now in the upper portion of the screen, everyone, and I'm just kind of leaving it there so it resonates with everyone, is that desktop ticker. This component alone can immediately start to drive change and efficiency improvements in any contact center. What you'll notice is it's a small footprint at the top of the agent monitor, either a primary or secondary monitor. Most agents have 2 nowadays in the contact center. And it's really allowing me to visualize as an agent my performance right throughout the day. I can have my own company logo in the upper left-hand portion. I can see my name there, right, in the small little black bar underneath. And then I start to look at the metrics that are made available in this view. And this is really where we start to see those efficiency gains and that real operational improvement, because agents are oftentimes shared their metrics, right, their KPIs, maybe on a weekly basis, maybe on a monthly basis, and oftentimes that's too late. That's way too far behind to really allow them to be proactive and empower them to drive change. We want to modify that behavior. And we've got some great case studies, and a lot of our customers are obviously utilizing this and have seen tremendous improvement. Things like average handle time, talk time, after call work. If you're in a sales or a collections environment, you can have different metrics, right? Here's my workforce managed schedule adherence, which is critical in any contact center, that proper scheduling is in place and that we've got the right agent coverage. And also myself as an agent, I understand how I'm doing with regards to my schedule, my month-to-date QA score, my calls in queue, and I can even go to another tab. So imagine having a small footprint at the top of an agent screen, updating in real time, showing them those KPIs that matter. I can see my evaluation scores, right, month to date. I can see our organization's customer satisfaction score, my last QA. Now, this is not just a place to visualize. This is also a place to take action, meaning that I can actually select this last QA field, and it's going to launch me into that evaluation. And as an agent, I can start to review that, so I'm better prepared with my conversation with my manager. To me, that's really critical. We want to give agents that ability and empowerment that says, let's let you review your observation or your QA evaluation, make your notations, and then have a constructive session with your supervisor, right? Instead of just sitting down and kind of have that shock factor when they show you your evaluation, if it might be on the low side. So showing them this data really starts to give them that sense of part of the team, that sense of ownership and understanding, right, that they really do make an impact. Their coaching activities, they can immediately launch into their coaching and training. I could show all my Q metrics here as well, right, with my service level. This alone can be up to 33 different KPIs in one small view that's updating in real time. Now, when you think about the power of that, and think about the number of systems that VPI is integrated with to bring this data in. We've got our telephony platform, we've got our CRM, right? We've got our dialer systems, we've got our workforce management system, you've got your QA results, you've got your Q statistics and coaching and survey for customer satisfaction. But that's the power of VPI, right? That's what we allow you to do, is to bring in data. Like Patrick showed in the slide, the chasm is really kind of the traditional methodology, which is data and disparate sources. We want to break down those barriers, and we want to consolidate that data, and it really starts at the agent level. So really a critical component, I would say, if you're going to walk away from anything from today's sessions, take a hard look at how you're sharing data in near real time or real time with your agents, and what can be done to improve that process, because you really will start to see dramatic changes in agent behavior, and we'd love to get you guys there. So now moving on from that, right, because we're really kind of walking through an evolution here, still talking about kind of the data analytics. The next component that really starts to kind of build on that is the screen I have up right now, which is a dashboard. This is my actual demo system. I've launched Mozilla Firefox browser, and I log into my environment. Now, I was an agent, and I was looking at my ticker, but the story I'm telling you guys, we're going to go through a life cycle. I'm going to promote myself a few times today. So I was just promoted to a supervisor in the contact center, and my first thing I do when I log in every morning and I'm having my coffee is I'm reviewing my dashboard. Again, this data is being brought in from the disparate sources. VPI is the business intelligence engine for the contact center. We've done the work to give you the tools that you need to be successful. I have a dashboard here that has widgets on it. Each widget contains a different KPI. What's my current service level, right? My customer satisfaction quarter to date. How many total sales have we made? Our inbound calls month to date. Our abandoned calls for the week, right? These widgets can contain any KPI, and they'll also change color as thresholds and variances are missed. So if my abandoned calls goes above 35, that's actually going to turn red, because that's an indicator that we have crossed a threshold that we set internally that says we want no more than 35 abandoned calls any given week, right? So it just kind of tells the story. What's my current quality assurance score? My number of customer complaints that have been generated by my speech analytics tool, number of repeat callers, average handle time. And you can see that I'm able to build and construct a robust dashboard, right, showing me all the way down to trend views. I'm looking at a trend over time for my monthly QA score. And I can see, right, we started off the year a little bit on the downside, right? We had a little bit, again, of another dip, and then we've moved up and kind of stayed steady. But I think we need to definitely focus and have a little bit of improvement there from a company level. Everything is very dynamic in nature. You'll notice as I start to update and slide this trend slider on this widget that's updating in real time. It's not refreshing or reloading a page. And the way we've been able to accomplish this is by utilizing the latest technology available in the marketplace. We've built everything in HTML5, making it mobile friendly. Look what I just did, everyone. I just scaled that down to about the size of an iPad mini. I use an iPad mini all the time, right? Reading for travel, all kinds of things. I think every one of you right now probably has a mobile phone and maybe an iPad or some kind of a tablet device with you. Wouldn't it be nice to just be able to launch your dashboard from that view and be able to consume that data right from there? Building with the technology that we've incorporated into the solution, we're able to give you that flexibility, right? Because mobile access is critical, not only for your workforce management data analytics, but also for your scheduling, right? And doing that WFM component. So got to be mobile friendly. You've got to have functional dashboards. And this just plays along with everyone having broader insight. The more insight we can share in an organization, the better prepared an organization can be to make and adapt to those changes. These dashboards are very easy to build and construct, right? We want to make that an easy process. It shouldn't have to be difficult. We've done the work. When I want to add a new widget to a dashboard, it really is about walking through a 4-step process, right? I define my attributes. I'm going to name my widget component, right? And then I'm going to choose what kind of indicator chart I want to see, and then I save it. So really at the end of the day, it's about creating that view, right? Utilizing the 4-step process. It's very wizard-driven, and we want to make that easy for you. Ease of use, KISS, keep it simple, Stanley, is what we like to say. And Patrick and I are both huge quality advocates and performance data analytics guys. So this is the stuff that really gets us going. Now, being more than just a business analytics tool is the foundational components that have helped build VPI over the past 20 years, which is desktop call or agent call and screen recording, desktop analytics where we can take data from systems and incorporate in those interactions, all the way through quality monitoring and coaching and speech and analytics. So those are some of the things I'm going to move into now and start talking about that workflow, because the automated workflow for quality analysis is really what's critical. When I look at this dashboard, there was actually a widget here I really didn't touch on very much, and it's these couple ones right here in the middle. What these are actual widgets that show you, right, that it's more than just about the data. The system is actually intelligently flagging calls. If you look at this widget on the left-hand side, it's intelligently flagging calls that I need to follow up on, right, maybe for compliance reasons. There's also training issues, right, or large sale values. The system is also intelligently assigning calls to be evaluated. Because we're bringing in your critical business system data, business rules can be applied to the system that say, for every agent, take one of their calls per week that's between 2 minutes and 5 minutes and has a completed order associated with it, right, from the CRM system, and assign that to be evaluated by Greg. Because remember, I'm a supervisor now, no longer an agent. Now here's my list of calls that I have to evaluate, right? Now when you start to inject that kind of a workflow, you're really going to change your agent and supervisor efficiencies. The quality analysts we've seen increases in efficiency for number of evaluations they can do in the 50 to 60% range by injecting that automation. You take subjectivity out of the equation, right? Because it's the system that's picking the calls. And that rule example I gave you was just an example, right? So let's just complete this workflow that says, I am the supervisor. I came in, I'm having my coffee. I reviewed all the KPIs on my dashboard, right? I looked at all the metrics. Everything looks good. I know some areas to focus on. And now I'm going to start an evaluation. I simply click on that evaluation, and the system is automatically going to launch me into the VPI quality monitoring tool. We have built this quality platform, one of the best in the industry, the best in the industry if you ask me, to be as flexible and user-friendly as possible and really give that great user experience to anyone who's completing a review or the user that's actually consuming the data. So let's take a look at this. What we can see is that my form has opened up. Anyone out there who's got the quality hat on, I'm right there with you, right? I eat this stuff up and love it. Quality monitoring is very important. So we can see all the agent information, the evaluator and evaluation information, and we've also got our media player. If I have a second monitor, I can take this and drag it to a second monitor, and I can start to see and hear and understand, right, everything happened on the agent desktop. I can also see that data that's brought in. So what you'll notice is this is that component of that VPI fact finder. That means we're going to go out and take the business data that's related to this customer's interaction with the agent and attach it to that recording. Think about that for a minute. That's very powerful. When you start to say you can really bring in the customer ID and the order value and the quantity and their address and the agent's name or the customer's name, and we can also bring in things like their email address and different fields. Now that's additional search criteria. It's more data that you can build metrics on. It's more data that you can use in a precision-based monitoring process like Patrick was talking about. This is what helps you drive that level of automation. Really, really critical and really important, and it's all incorporated into the VPI interaction that we built here in this example. From a quality perspective, I've closed my media player. Very standard. I can answer my questions yes and no. I can work through each of my pages or categories. And then as I'm answering my questions, my scorecard on the right-hand side is updating. So take your eyes over to the right-hand side for me because we're going to focus on that scorecard for a second. We score evaluations in 3 different areas. You have an overall score, which is a percentage out of 100 based on points achieved out of points possible. A score by page or category. Wow, I've got even though the score's pretty good, this adherence to process and hold, process, very, very low, below objective. I need to coach. Really where you get into the core benefits, in my opinion, are the skills. Each question actually has the ability to be associated to a behavioral competency. So for anyone out there really looking to improve agents at their core, improve their listening skills, their empathy, their overall compliance knowledge, their handling of customer objections, those are things that you have to teach at the behavioral level and teach those competencies, not just you didn't say the right process here. When you can map those behaviors to questions, you have another area to coach to. So highly recommend, if you're looking at your QA process and looking at revamping it, giving us a call. Let us work with you, We'll help you with best practices. This is what, our organization, we live, eat, and breathe the contact center. So we've seen enough of them to kind of know and understand the best practices that are out there. So quality monitoring. And this was an automated quality evaluation. It was sent to me by the system. And like Patrick had said, a lot of these things using speech analytics can actually start to be, for conformance, kind of bucketed automatically. And then you can even further refine your quality form to get really focused, because the shorter and more precisely you make these QA forms, the better it is for everyone, at least from an understanding perspective and sharing and feedback. So I'm going to jump back to my dashboard for a second and just recap real quick. We've talked about a couple of key things. At the very top of the screen, we got that agent desktop ticker when I was first the agent when we started our conversation today. As I progressed through there, I got promoted, and I'm a supervisor, and I'm reviewing this amazing dashboard. I'm seeing all the statistics that are important. Oh, and maybe I need to drill down because I can expand and drill into those widget components and see further data points, And from this workspace and reviewing these metrics, I'm able to start my evaluations, being able to play calls that have been automatically flagged, run reports right from here. You need a unified one-stop shop to kind of give you the data you need and let you become as efficient as possible. I've said that word a lot because that's one of our main goals is to improve efficiency. Okay, let me show you another business intelligence component that's very, very critical as well. It's the notion of scorecards. This is one of the things that Patrick touched on, and again, it's part of that BI component, When we talk real-time reporting, when we talk long-range data analytics and analysis, this is another one of those key pieces where you can see I have a scorecard. I've got metrics. Each metric has an indicator value telling me if it's trending up or down. I can see what the metric value is. I can assign scores and weighting. VPI, one of the best platforms in the marketplace for giving you the balanced scorecarding that you're looking for to really ensure that your agents are performing the way they should be, and you're weighting those different KPIs the way they should be. So being able to create and visualize and understand scorecards at the company level, at the agent level, and at the group level. So we give you multiple scorecard views to really drive that behavior and understanding. This is truly the BI tool for the contact center. tickers, dashboards, scorecards, custom reports, right? Report generation tools, all that incorporated into our solution. I showed you the mobile access, how you can scale these down, right, and use these views when you're on the road. Now, being cognizant of time, I know we got a few minutes left. I got about 15 minutes left. I'm going to take about another 5, and then we're going to open it up for Q&A, because there's really one other component I want to touch on, and it's all about speech analytics. When we talk about speech analytics and the importance of it, Patrick really touched on it well by talking about when we open up that envelope, right, really what's important. And that goes for speech in so many ways. This is where we start with speech. You want to start speech at the analytics level, right? Being able to just do a keyword search based on a text file or whatever the output was is nice, but it doesn't tell you the whole story. Speech is great at looking at trends over long periods of time because accuracy, right? If anyone tells you 100% accuracy, ask them a few more questions, please. Accuracy is really going to be in the 50 to 70% range, depending on, right, the platform, how much tuning and tweaking has been done. I spoke with a customer yesterday, and we were discussing it. Really, speech analytics is an art, right? It's more of an art than a science. So you really need to spend that time and focus on it. But when you start at the analytics level, this is really where you start to gain that insight. When I start looking at data for a full year, which is what I'm utilizing here in my system, I see what are my most used categories? What are my least used categories, right? Over the year, maybe over a few months, right? Customer service, right? Delighted customers, repeat contacts, customer dissatisfaction. Why do I have 2,698, 13% of my interactions so far this year have been dissatisfied customers? Well, that's a concern, but I wouldn't notice that by just doing a keyword search on my speech engine. You need the reporting to back it up. And what I can also do is not only just visualize the data, let me get to the data, right? Think about that. I want to actually drill into this so I can click that data element, and it's going to take me right down to the calls. When you think about that level of interaction, that's huge to be able to go from a report view to actually being able to play these recordings right from this view, and then being able to return, if I want to, back up and continue to analyze the data, right? Largest increase in period versus the previous period. Largest decrease. I love these ones because it tells me, are we trending in the right direction after we made a change? Why do we have a huge increase in customers requesting a final payment, right, over the previous 30 days? I might want to look into that, right? Systems down has really dropped off. Good. That means the new process we put in place for escalations when customers are down, that's actually working. I'm seeing that trend down. Process is doing what it should do. Most found at the beginning, right? Most found at the end. Speech analytics is all about categorizing calls and giving you an insight into what your customer's experience is like. And we're going to show you that data. We're going to allow you to visualize it. And this was just one view. I can go in and look by individual core objective, right? I can toggle through multiple views. And, you know, I'm a talker guy, so if you ever want to spend hours talking about this stuff, feel free to give us a call. I'd be happy to spend as much time as you want on the phone. We can go through so many of these views and really start to understand the data, right? How does data pair, or how does data trend? I really like this trend view, and I can take your eyes to the left-hand side of the screen for me. I can take my billing inquiries and correlate that to refund request and see if there's a direct correlation, because it's going to map out both of those categories and that metric, right, on a nice trend line. And I could even say, show it to be my week, show it by month, show it by quarter. When you start to incorporate this type of view into your analytics platform from speech, this is where you're really going to start to drive change. So speech analytics and this data analytics side of it is really critical. We'll process all the calls, create the transcripts, give you the ability to create these categories, and we have out-of-the-box starter packs and starter categories already, because again, we know this industry, we know what customers are wanting, and we've taken great strides to really incorporate that into the solution. The BI component we built because we're BI experts. The insight, speech analytics, again, we've built it. This is our product after we spent a lot of time in the industry and the marketplace really focusing on what's critical. When you tie each of these components together, you really start to paint a holistic picture. So just to recap, we talked about 4 game changers in today's world of contact centers. 1, real-time reporting and analytics, how critical that is, and we've highlighted that in multiple ways. The agent visibility, the dashboards, the scorecards, right, all the way down to the speech and data analytics. We talked about mobile access. You got to have a platform that's built in the latest technology that allows you to be mobile friendly all the way from your workforce optimization to your workforce management, shift changes, swaps, schedules, text messaging. All that needs to be built in and it's flexible, right? Because a lot of people don't have home phones anymore. We live on our devices. I know I do. We talked about automated QA workflow by taking that important data, automatically using it to assign, schedule quality evaluations, automatically flagging calls. Those things are really important to improve efficiency, take out subjectivity, right, and ensure that you're monitoring the right calls, precision-based monitoring. And then we talked about speech analytics, really diving through those report views, understanding how we, look to categorize calls and where you're going to gain that value when you start to trend that data out over time. 4 key game changers. Really excited that we got to share this with everyone today. And I want to turn it back over to Patrick, and then I think we'll open it up to the group for any questions. But thank you all so much for your time. We look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. A lot of great questions. One thing I was hoping you could show as well is just the out-of-the-box reports for Cisco, Avaya, and all the other platforms. And a lot of our customers come to us initially just for better reporting for certain platforms. So I was hoping you might be able to kind of walk through that. There's some
great question. We have a lot of great reports, and I was, again, on the road this week and worked with another customer yesterday where within a matter of showing them our reports out of the box for the Avaya platform, he said, hands down, better than CMS. When can I sign? Right? I'm not just saying that because I'm not a sales guy. I'm on the sales engineering side, but he saw it and he just loved it. And that's what we do. We have the ability to give you the reporting that you need. So I can select and say, look at all my Cisco UCC Express reports. We do a lot of customer Cisco UCC Express reporting replacements just because the Cisco's reporting can't be necessarily maybe as fluid as ours. You can see here we've got all of these pre-built reports, the administrative reports, the application, current status. If I was to run my performance summary report, it's going to automatically run and show me the data. And the nice thing about these reports is I can actually step through this report. Right? I'm just going to expand my range here a little bit. I'm going to go back and take just kind of a month-to-date snapshot. And what you'll see as this report builds is on the left-hand side, all my group structure, then the days in the report in that column, the agents, right? All of my data views that I can sort by. I can even drill down in. Watch this. This is really cool because I start at the top level of performance summary, but I need to go dig a little bit deeper on one of these teams, customer service 2. I can click on that agent view, and it's going to take me down to the agent detail, right, or agent summary, I should say. Each agent. Oh, you want to step further? Okay, we can do that. But look at this report. It's taking all their telephony metrics. Oh, and we're even bringing in their average QA score. Because, again, the QA platform is within VPI. Plus, we built these reports on top of the Cisco UCC Express platform. Want to go to the agent detail? Okay, let's go down for Kirby. Now it takes me one more level deep. I didn't have to run 3 different reports in Cisco. You don't have to run 5 reports in Avaya CMS, right, and struggle with some of the challenges. We've done the work. We've incorporated it. I can even incorporate charts and graphs. You can export this data out to Excel. The out-of-the-box reporting that we've built and incorporated is by far, right, leaps and bounds ahead of what we're seeing in the industry. And it all just goes along and plays into our ability to do better business intelligence. So if you're having any reporting challenges for Cisco or Avaya, right, please reach out to us, and we'd love to take you a bit deeper on it.
All right. Thank you, Greg. All right, so some really good questions. I'm going to kind of take control back if it's okay. I'm going to show my screen. So the first question that came in, or one of the questions, is what CRM back office systems do you integrate with? And I have an actual kind of a list of some of the ones that we've integrated with. So you can see several of the different communications platforms. And then to your question, some of the CRM platforms, Salesforce, SAP, Oracle, PMC, CGI is a collections, MAS is a security monitoring application. And there are a lot of different ways to integrate to these systems. One of the questions has to do with what kind of data sources can you handle? We deal with a lot of flat files. So, Greg, I was hoping you could kind of discuss the many different ways in which we integrate with various data sources.
Oh, I'd be happy to. And it's actually a simple process. It might sound complicated, but it's really not. For us, a source for data, we look at that like any other source, right? If it's a flat file, if it's a database, if it's a one-time push being done by a system through maybe an API, to us it's just a source of data. We create what we call data collectors, where we work with the IT department or the organization that owns the system, and we have them grant us access to the back-end database or the file location that we need to pull in, and then our team is able to collect that data on a defined interval and then populate that into our internal database. It's a very simple process. When we talk to your IT teams, they'll get it right away when we're working with them to say, yes, we need access to the database, X, Y, and Z. We're going to collect the data on a 5-minute interval, on a 1-minute interval, whatever it might be. And then that process, surprisingly, is it's a lot easier than people kind of expect it to be. We try not to overcomplicate it. We've done a lot of pre-built collectors over the years, so there's a lot of stuff that we've already done that we can just natively collect up to, like Avaya, Cisco, ShoreTel, Mitel, different back office systems like Salesforce, SAP, Oracle, right? These ones that are being shown here, because that is what we do on a regular basis. So for us, it's a collector to a source of data, and then we pull that data into our system and either populate it and associate it to the recording interactions, or either just bring it in for metrics analysis to be used in our BI components. Great question.
And
Thank you.
Flat files, in terms of different flat files, right?
Flat files would be supported if it's a CSV file, if it's an Excel file, depending on the flat file format. It would be we'd be able to bring it in. We just need it in a destination where we can collect it from, and need to understand the data that's being populated. And there's some parameters for date and time, right? Some various parameters. But yeah, flat files are something we do on a regular basis.
Great.
Great
Thank
question.
you, Greg. And then here's a question related to the ticker. Can the ticker be set up to show historical data, or is it only for real-time data?
Oh, that's a great question. It can be set up for historical and real-time. And let me give you an example. On the ticker, you might have noticed that I had up there, and it'll be in the PowerPoint and the recording that we'll send out. You'll actually notice there's the quality assurance score month to date. That would be an example of a historical metric, right, where we're updating that. We're trying to pull it to see if it is updated, right, on a regular interval, maybe every 30 seconds. But that's a historical data point. So some of your other things like current calls in queue, calls waiting, service level, those things are updated more in real time, maybe your current not ready time. So yes, the ticker can contain a blend of both real time and historical data, right, to really give you what you're looking for.
Great, thanks, Greg. Here's one more question that I can answer. Are the desktop tickers compatible with Mac OS? And I know we do have a web-based version of the ticker that we've created for Mac OS clients. So yeah, that's something that we can make available for Mac OS for you. So, all right, I think that's all. What is the cost for this product? Maybe, I know it varies, but maybe Greg, you can just talk to kind of a high level on how it works. It's all modular, right? So maybe.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Yeah, no, it's a great question for whoever asked it, so thank you. Our product suite is very modular in nature. If you're just looking at the business intelligence side, maybe tickers and data collectors, and maybe replace your CMS reporting, right? That's our BI module. We could provide you just that. If you want call recording with quality analysis and coaching, and then the automation with the BI, that's another, right? We can kind of bring those modules together and provide you pricing. We do have very flexible pricing. We can provide CapEx pricing if you want to just make that kind of operational purchase and buy that outright. We can also do a subscription-based pricing model if that's more conducive for your environment. The pricing is going to depend on what modules you look to purchase and also the number of agents that you have. So we do license on a per agent basis, not on a per user basis. You might have 300 agents, but you might have another 50 managers and supervisors that will be utilizing the system. At the end of the day, we're going to look at what your agent count is and license off of that to really ensure that we maximize your ability to get the best ROI on the system and really focus on the agents you're going to try to use it for. So very flexible with our pricing. There's maintenance, right? Annual maintenance is very much similar to like any other system you're going to buy. But we don't ever let price be an issue. To us, we want to sell on the value of the product and the value it's going to give your organization. So if you're interested in maybe getting a price quote or proposal, we'd be happy to work with you on generating that.
Great. Thanks, Greg, and thank you all so much for your time. On behalf of all of us here at VPI, we're really looking forward to the opportunity to work with you and your team and help you out wherever we can. So thanks a lot. You have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll be in touch. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.